Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into the exciting world of Art's Way manufacturing, where shareholder meetings and executive pay collide. Sounds boring? Stick around because sometimes the most interesting stories are hidden in plain sight, like why your CEO got paid $1 million even when the company isn't doing so great. Art's Way Manufacturing, based out in Iowa, just had their annual meeting in April, and in that meeting the stockholders, which are the people who own the company, voted on some pretty important stuff. This includes who gets to sit on the board of directors, whether to approve their accounting firm, and even how much the big bosses get paid. Let's break down what happened, what the numbers say, and what it all means. First up, the election of directors, who are the people responsible for managing the company. The stockholders picked 5 people to be on the board: Mark McConnell, Thomas Buffermunty, David White, Matthew Westendorf, and Randall Ramsey. Looking at the numbers, we see Mark McConnell got almost 3 million votes for him, with about 95,000 votes withheld. Thomas Buffermunty got even more love, with over 3 million votes and only about 54,000 withheld. It seems like these folks have the confidence of the shareholders. Note that there are about 880,000 broker non-votes for all of them. This means that many brokers who hold shares for clients didn't vote on these particular items, which is quite a substantial amount, but the rest of the results are still valid. Next, the stockholders voted to approve Ede Bailly LL as the company's accounting firm for the coming year. This is a pretty standard thing, but it's important because the accounting firm is responsible for making sure the company's financial statements are accurate. In this case, it passed by a landslide, almost 4 million votes in favor compared to around 30,000 against. Now let's talk about executive pay. This is where things get a little more interesting. The stockholders got to vote on whether they approved of how much the top executives were being paid. It's an advisory vote, meaning the company doesn't have to listen, but it's a good way to gauge how the owners feel. Here we see about 3 million votes for approving the compensation, but also around 144,000 votes against. It is possible that some shareholders think the executives are getting paid too much, even if most approved the compensation, but also around 144,000 votes against. It is possible that some shareholders think the executives are getting paid too much, even if most approve the compensation. And related to that, the stockholders also got to recommend how often they should vote on executive pay. Do they want to vote every year, every other year, or every 3 years? The overwhelming majority, over 3 million votes, said they wanted to vote every year. This shows that shareholders want to keep a close eye on how the company is paying its executives. Now, all of this information is available in the company's official filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which also references their proxy statement. If you really want to dive into the details, you can check that out. Finally, there's a section listing the exhibits. One of them is the cover page interactive data file, which is a fancy way of saying it includes the data in a format that computers can easily read. It might not sound super exciting, but it's important for transparency and analysis. So what does all of this tell us about Art's Way Manufacturing? Well, first, the company seems to have a board of directors that is supported by the shareholders. The vote results show pretty strong approval for the board members. Second, it seems that there is some concern about how the executives are being paid, even if the majority voted to approve it. The significant number of votes against the compensation plan and the strong preference for annual votes suggest that shareholders want more control over executive pay. Third, the company is being transparent about its financial information, which is always a good thing. But here's the bigger picture. Art's Way is a small manufacturing company. These smaller companies often face a lot of challenges, from keeping up with bigger competitors to dealing with changes in the economy. When investors pay close attention to executive pay, it's often because they want to make sure the company is using its money wisely. If the company is struggling, investors might not want to see executives getting huge bonuses. This is pretty reasonable. From what we have covered, we don't know the financial situation, but we know shareholders are taking an active role in guiding the company. The company seems to have a relatively stable operation in terms of leadership and accounting practices, but that is not saying much. It's always positive to see active shareholders who seem to care about the direction of the company and want to make sure they are on the right track. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, give us a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more corporate decoding.